Hello and welcome to my very first World Turtles gameplay demo. I've spent a lot of time on optimization lately and have tied down a few small loose ends to get the game to a point where you can actually play it without having to tap out because some exception messed up your units or tasks. So let's dive straight in. In the top right hand corner you can see the number of units, buildings and queued up tasks waiting for suitable units to perform them. I have randomly generated a large map of 160 by 120 hexes and easily achieved the monitor's upper limit of 60 frames per second on an unpopulated map. I'm playing this on an Intel i7 CPU at 3.6 GHz, 16 GB memory and an NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1080 on 4K resolution. Since I've got all the cheat codes, I'm going to add some random units and instantly recruit 6 builders to get things going promptly. Let's also get our first woodcutters for free, so we have something to look at while the builders get going. Let's place some woodcutter and stonemason huts for the builders to construct. I'm not going to say much about the terrain manipulation, the recursive methodology to determine the viability and optimal rotation, pathfinding, task scheduling, progressive construction, etc. since my other detailed videos already address that. Today it's more about how it plays, looks and sounds. I also won't be talking the entire time. You can clearly see what's happening for the most part. But throughout, I will point out some interesting things to note, especially regarding the optimization, multi-threading and the frame rate. So, the builders have cleared their first building site and construction can begin. The first woodcutters have also arrived and are ready to start chopping. See if you can notice the level of detail changes in the trees and other elements as we scroll around and zoom in and out. You will notice that some of the models don't have the back faces rendered. I still need to adjust them since I don't just want to use a slower double-sided shader. It's time for a larger building. Let's order a farm on a flatter part of the land. We'll check back on it later to see how it functions. You would have noticed that the units explore the map as they move around. For now, I'm going to reveal the entire map with a shortcut key so we can see more of the actual map while playing. I also want to show you some points of interest on the map. A few months ago, someone from a professional sound studio contacted me and offered to work with me free of charge on the sound of the game, since they wanted to gain some experience in game development for their portfolio. Most of their previous work is in movies and trailers. We're still tweaking attenuation and testing and are aware of some sudden panning or fading problems, etc. But it already adds so much value to the game. So we're still at 60 frames per second, but we haven't added a lot of units and buildings yet. Let's ramp that up a bit and see what it does to our frame rate. At over 100 units, everything's still running smoothly at maximum frame rate. Here you can see, or rather not see, some more missing back faces on the windmills, which I need to fill in, but farming is underway. Let's add some more buildings to see how that influences the frame rate. I'm going to let them not require construction for now. You will notice how the employment happens sometime after the building is ready. This is because the task allocation considers every suitable unit for the job and picks the closest one. This means a lot of pathfinding needs to happen behind the scenes to ensure a unit halfway across the map isn't allocated to a building when units close by are available. Since we have so many idle units scattered around the map, it takes longer than it would in a normal game with few units closer together. I could still add some culling to this process when it's clear some units are very far away, but it runs on a separate thread, so it does not affect frames per second at all, and you only need to wait a little while to get a proper distance-based task allocation. These castles don't actually fit into the game at the moment, but I wanted to show how even adding large numbers of large but optimized buildings to the map does not really hurt the frame rate. Let's add some more dwellings as well, and the frame rate is still maxed with 53 buildings on the map. Another factor I'm adding to the game is faster game speeds, to speed through less eventful parts of the game. You can see that the frame rate even holds up here, although some bugs creep into the movement and task allocation at very high speeds. I'm still investigating this. For many of the tasks, running at very high speed poses no problems. So, even with so many units and buildings on a large map, we're still at the maximum 60 frames per second. And if you have slightly older technology, you can always drop the graphics quality a bit to get higher frame rates. Let's scroll around a bit more, then I'll really put some stress on the CPU by adding a lot more units to see where the frame rate starts dropping. These units all have to perform collision testing, moving slightly out of each other's way when they get too close to each other. Especially with so many units so close together, this puts some strain on the CPU, since this process isn't threaded. But 500 units is a bit of an overkill, and we still get close to 60 frames per second when zoomed in. There are some more optimization areas I need to look into, but I'm very happy with how much smoother the game has become over the last month or so. Maps can now be large enough to accommodate long, expansive games and campaigns, which is exciting. Although there are some pitfalls and restrictions to threading, it's a really useful and impactful tool to have in your arsenal. The faster you can make the things your game can't be without, the more system resources you have to spare to spend on adding ambience and extra value to the game. It's still a long way to go, but seeing what I already have run so smoothly is making me extremely excited. Please leave a comment about the game, your thoughts or any suggestions. Also, if you haven't already, consider subscribing and sharing with your friends. Also check out the other videos if you want some more technical detail. I'll upload a mini-series on the optimization and threading in the near future. It's a fascinating journey and I'm learning a lot. and I hope to have a playable demo available to all of you sometime soon. Goodbye!